Most of us know why ambition on climate is important, with the science clear that we need to do all that we can to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees by 2050. Every fraction of a degree above this would result in greater harm to us and our planet. At 1.5 degrees, about 14% of the world's population would be exposed to extreme heat waves every 5 years. At 2 degrees warming, that jumps to 37%. South Africa is one of the most high-risk regions of the world. So 1.5 degrees global rise results in more like a 3 degrees rise here. And so that's why climate action is so important, why the Paris Agreement is key, and why the Glasgow Climate Pact was so important in driving momentum. Of course, Glasgow did not deliver all we hoped. And COP President Alok Sharma described the summit as keeping 1.5 degree global warming alive, but he said its pulse is weak. It will only survive if we keep our promises and translate commitments into rapid action. Current pledges for emission restrictions on the table would result in around 2.4 degrees global warming. So we're not yet at where we need to be in terms of 1.5 degrees. And in terms of financial support, the $100 billion a year target has not yet been achieved. But there were notable successes in Glasgow, and there is a clear direction of global travel. So when we took over as COP President designate in 2019, only 30% of the world economy was covered by net zero targets. By the end of COP26, it is 90% of the world economy. Every party at COP26 signed up to revisit and strengthen their 2030 targets, increasing their ambition by COP27 in Egypt. Major declarations were signed at COP26 on ending deforestation, promoting electric vehicles, and cutting methane. For the first time in a UNFCCC negotiated text, the phase down of coal was made explicit. And increased financial pledges mean we will meet the $100 billion a year financial support pledge by 2023, and something like $500 billion will be spent between 2021 and 2025. In addition, a formal structure has been established to discuss and set new financial support targets from 2025. And lastly, the greening of the international financial sector was underlined by the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero. That is, firms overseeing assets of around $130 trillion aligning their future investment with net zero. So, turning to South Africa, we all know that the country faces a number of challenges, including high unemployment, high inequality and poverty, a major debt burden, and a current reliance on coal, particularly in the energy sector. But notwithstanding these challenges, it is commendable that South Africa came to Glasgow with a bold and ambitious nationally determined contribution, with a range aligned to 2 degree global warming at the less ambitious end and 1.5 degree global warming at the most ambitious end. The NBI, who are speaking after me, have estimated that a low emissions pathway in South Africa could create 200,000 more jobs in energy by 2030. One of the biggest and most impactful announcements at COP26 was the Just Energy Transition Partnership agreed by South Africa with the UK, US, France, Germany, and the EU. The partnership aims to support the South African government in achieving its ambitious goals set out in its own nationally determined contribution. The partnership will mobilize an initial commitment of $8.5 billion for the first phase of financing through various financing mechanisms. And this first-of-a-kind agreement will help South Africa in delivering the highest levels of ambition set out in its own nationally determined contribution. We've already talked about how the global investment ecosystem is greening. The global economy is transitioning, and the role of the private sector and non-state actors are absolutely central to this, scaling up access to resources for ambitious climate action. And so let me finish just by saying that how you choose to deploy your resources will have a large impact on which companies, technologies, and projects succeed and flourish. And, I say, would have an impact on how successfully we tackle what is the key challenge for our planet in the coming decades. Thank you.